Mel, I'm really happy to have you here. I'm super excited for the conversation we're going to have. You know so much stuff about customers and understanding your customers. And for the listener that's listening today, what would be the one thing that you would want them to take away from our conversation today?
I think if it's, your audience, you said, are entrepreneurs that are starting out or trying to grow their business, I think it's to take the time to understand your customer beyond the value that you think your brand, solution, or product has. I think every entrepreneur is like, people are going to love my podcast.
Mm-hmm.
People are going to love this widget I created, but take the time to understand what's going on in their day to say, well, where does it fit? So that you can position it properly, because you might surprise yourself around how big the problem is that you're solving for someone. It might be something that doesn't come up very often, or it might be something that's very urgent. You can't know that unless you get to know the context of your customer's day.
Right.
Otherwise, you're just staying in your own head on like,
in your own little bubble.
yeah, like, oh, what I do is awesome. Everybody loves what I do. And in my space and in my office and in my mind, it's why wouldn't someone love this?
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of have to put it to the test outside of your bubble.
Yep.
Right. And hopefully it goes well, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully you get what you need to position it. And sometimes you find out you're solving a problem that's not really a problem for your target audience.
Yeah.
Right?
And it goes beyond the, I just showed it to my mom and my mom loves it.
Right. There's a book called The Mom Test that's all about that.
Is it really? Okay.
Yeah, and it kind of centers around that. Yeah, if you ask your mom, she's probably going to be like, I love it.
Yeah.
Do it. Invest everything in it.
Yeah, go all in.
Go all in.
Yeah. So we're going to unpack that quite a bit today. And that's a really great segue to maybe just get you to explain a little bit to our audience, a little bit about who you are and the work that you do.
So I've been 18 years in marketing, and it's all been on the agency side, which I'm super proud of. I love that. I've had the opportunity to work B2B and B2C, so many different industries. It would be hard for me to count them all. And with really talented folks, when you work in an agency space, there's so many brilliant people around you, and you level up so quick.
Yeah.
And I've moved around to a number of agencies. I wouldn't say moved around a ton, but I did have an opportunity to grow my skill set there.
Yeah, because I know that you've worked at big agencies like Trampoline and Foundations, and Ross is a friend of the show. He's been on here before, and you work with him as well too.
Yes, yeah, I've worked at a lot of the local agencies here, and kind of bounce between ones that are more creative and like strategy driven. And then I had an opportunity to go to ISL, which at the time was a dev and design digital shop. Okay. And it was a big leap for me because I went from a creative and a strategy-based agency into like CMSs and how to build a website and technology.
All the tech stuff. Yeah, okay.
And it wasn't about the creative there. There was no creative teams there.
None at all, eh?
And so that's where I'd come from. And so I was like a fish out of water.
Yeah.
But I was able to pick up the quantitative side of research there. And I came from the qualitative side at a strategy and creative agency. And I really, really appreciated that. And then from that moment, any other agency I went to, I was trying to combine both of those things, right? Yeah. That moment for me going to ISL is one of those ones you look back on and you're like, that was the best decision I could have made. And it was really scary because I had no idea what I was doing.
Well, like you said,
on
you're
day
like,
one.
Yeah, you're like a fish out of water. And it's really interesting because I have kind of a little bit of a similar path in that I started as a creative person. Like I just love drawing and illustrations and music. And then I decided to learn technology and learn how websites are made and developed. And it almost brings together these two industries that seem like they're disconnected, but you can find a way to connect them and do really, really neat things and even grow as an individual into like learning and understanding these things that you never thought were possible.
Yeah, it became like a place for me to be like, oh, here's all these different places where I can collect information about what I'm trying to do. It became a lot broader. Yeah. And then I met people that I still have relationships with today and work with today, which I just love. And so everywhere else I went, I was combining those things, right? That was kind of my thing, is like, how can you understand a client's business or your customers by, looking at qualitative and quantitative data.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I ended up in operations, because I've been at the agency space for so long. Am close friends with Ross Simmons. And so ended up in ops, running one of his agencies.
How did you
And
like that?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Ross's. If you know him, he's super ambitious
Mm-hmm.
and really, after growth. And that was exciting to me to do that and to build that. And when I was there, the company grew so much through COVID, right? And so there was so much
Okay. Yep.
learning. And so I was getting to learn and do those things, and grow and lead a business, because I'd always been on the agency side. So it was like, why not?
Yeah.
Why not try this, right?
Makes sense. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that was a great time.
Given your experience working in all these agencies, what was that like for you when you're building these agencies and you're also growing and you're also working with some big clients? What is that like, working with clients that have like 6-7 figure budgets to do all kinds of marketing campaigns? Like, that must be pretty interesting work.
So when I first started, and I would get put on, like, at the agency, you'd get selected, right? A team would be selected to go on a new client.
Okay.
And back then you would pitch. And so you'd get to go, you're all dressed up.
Like, you're pitching to the
Like
client
you're
that's coming
pitching to
in
the
door.
client
Okay,
to
yeah,
win
yeah.
the business, right? You got
Right, okay.
shortlisted, you completed an RFP, and then it's like, okay, here's your presentation date. And then it's like, all the boards are out, and the creative team is like hustling hard, and
Yeah.
we've got research, everything's going. We're going in to do the big presentation.
Mm-hmm.
If you got selected to be on that team, you were doing well, right? Like, this was
Okay.
exciting. You're going to stand in front of a national or international client. And then, so you're excited. You're like,
No
oh my God,
kidding.
what am I going to learn? These folks are ginormous.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start working with them, and you're like, oh wait, you're just like everybody else.
Just like,
And not in a disrespectful way,
Of
but
course.
people hire agencies because they have a gap, because there's something they can't solve themselves internally, or there's a skill set that they don't possess, and they don't want to have it in-house.
right.
So whether it was a large client or a small client, there was a gap. And so when you
Yeah.
get into an organization and you see a clear gap, it doesn't matter if they're really large or
Or just
or
your,
new.
yeah.
To be honest, the larger the company, the harder it was to get things executed, because there's so many layers,
And they have all the processes
separate
in place or whatever.
departments. And by the time it came around, you're like, oh, it's changed. There's new research to suggest
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's
that
right.
this
eh?
has changed, but let's give it a rip.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think, looking at a logo or a brand, it's easy to get excited, but I find, that there's no difference between a large company
Yeah.
and a smaller one.
So on that point about not being, much differences, you're seeing gaps, and it's like, whether you're small or whether you're large, the gaps
There's
are
a
kind of
gap
the same.
there, yeah.
In terms of marketing, were there like common mistakes that you would see businesses make, again, regardless of their size?
Yeah, I think, like, from my perspective, what I'm passionate about is understanding your customers at a very deep level.
Mm-hmm.
I think if it's a new business, if you're new and you're starting out, again, it's easy to pour your heart into what you're creating, what you're building, right? Making, the product the best it can be from your perspective. And you can spend a lot of time doing that.
Right.
And what often gets missed is, well, like, how do we know how to position it, and what are the messages, and how is someone going to react to this, and what are they going to compare it to? That gets missed because you're all in on the product, right?
Right.
And so if it's like a new startup, they probably don't even have a marketing department thinking about that, right? If it's a business that's been around for a long time, they've probably grown and had great success. And so they just
Mhm.
keep on that wheel.
And then they just think like, oh, well, this has worked for us in the
Right.
past, and then I'll just do the same thing or whatever.
Yeah. And then it's
ah.
really easy to make assumptions, right? And the assumption leads to another assumption and goes up the departments. And then you realize, like, how did we get here? It was based on a series of assumptions.
Mm.
And at some point, something happens, your demographic ages out, or there's a new competitor that comes into your space, or there's a brand new way to solve the problem. And all of a sudden, it becomes harder, and getting those wins becomes more difficult. And it's like, well, do we need to change what we sell? Usually,
Yeah, okay.
it's more like, no, stop and understand who you're selling to and make sure you've got that right first.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very easy for me to spot that problem
Mm.
when I meet
From
with,
the outside looking in almost.
yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and any size business.
How can customers or companies avoid making these assumptions?
I think it's asking better questions, right? Again, you get really excited about your goal. Like, we want to grow. We have a rev target. We want to sell this many widgets or whatever it may be by X date. And you spend all your time talking about how you would do that. And then it's like, well, who do we sell to? And what is the problem they have? And how do they solve that problem today? And how much do they care about solving that problem,
Yeah.
right? Those questions don't come up on a regular basis, right? They're
I
often
see.
like a one and done. And so really, really getting into that problem, it might seem obvious, but it's hard to do consistently,
Yeah.
and to not answer it yourself, and to not say, oh, I know. I know. I've worked with companies where I'm like, who will buy? Who's most interested in your product? And they say everyone.
I feel like that's
Everyone.
probably the worst answer that you can give.
Yeah, and so it's like everyone can buy, everyone. This product is for everyone. Okay, let's
So-
go with that on the ad.
So so when you hear that,
Yeah.
what goes through your mind, and what is it that you're going to tell, your client that, like, no, it can't be for everyone. It's got to be for someone. Like,
I think at that point, it's really trying to get them to commit to talk to customers or potential customers, because then the customers kind of train them. I can't convince someone that that's not true. I don't know. Maybe their product is for everyone.
like a sock or something. I don't know.
I'm guessing it's not, but I
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
say for sure. But I'd love to help you understand the different mindsets and the different types of problems you might sell. Why don't we go out and test that and start those conversations? When I present back what people's customers said to them, and there's direct quotes from them,
It's like an eye opener.
it's an I've completed them, and folks have been like emotional, like on the call, because they're like we had no idea, or you validated something we've been thinking, but we haven't done anything with it. And so those clients change their mind pretty quick and are humbled by what their
Yeah.
customers have to say.
No kidding.
And I just love opening people's eyes to that and sharing
I was
that.
going to say, that must feel pretty cool for you too.
It's-
Like, you're working with these people and then you show them a different way of looking at things, or you show them a better way of
Yeah.
what they could be doing in their business, and to see their eyes kind of open up and have that aha moment. That's like,
Oh, I love
yes,
it.
they're getting it.
I love when I'm interviewing someone and over multiple interviews, I hear insights coming out that I know my client is not aware of. It's so exciting to collect that for them, right? That's
Yeah.
the goal, right? Is to get there, or to really validate something that they want to do. It's going to be what it's going to be, right?
Yep.
I'm collecting that research.
I mean, you said it that it's so obvious. I mean, you're making a product, you got to know who you're selling it for,
Mhm.
Why is it though that people don't do this, or they don't use it as a priority? I remember the first time we had a conversation, we were kind of just chatting when we first met, and you were like telling me something that, like, you'd be surprised at how many people don't understand who their customer are, or they don't even
Yeah.
really think about it. So, like, why is that?
I don't think it has anything to do with folks like not wanting to know or not caring. When you're in the middle of running a big 6-figure business, or even starting one, you have so many competing priorities.
Yeah.
It's
That makes
just
sense.
so true. There's like people you're onboarding, you're training. You might have a customer and they might be unhappy, and so you're like, no, I know who the customer is. Let me tell you, here's 5 bullets. Let's go put $100,000 against a marketing campaign.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
you think that you know, right? And you really
Mhm.
trust yourself because you created this thing.
Right. Yeah.
You're like, who knows more about your podcast than you? You're here doing it all the time,
Yeah.
right? And so it's so easy to go without it and focus on another priority. I think that when I talk to a new client and I ask them questions about their customer, we always get to a place where they end up saying, I don't know.
I don't know, which is not a bad thing. I think
It's
that's a
not a
good thing to
bad
say
thing.
that.
That
Yeah.
those are my ideal. That's when I know I'm at the I'm at the right table
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
because they don't know, right?
Because you can't help someone that has all the
Yeah,
answers.
they're not really if they have it all, they don't really want Melissa. But they get to a place where they don't know and they're not making decisions for their business that have their customer like front and
Mhm.
center, right?
Right.
They're making a decision because they're like, oh, I'd love to be in this industry. So let me go target this industry. But that's not
Yeah.
really for their customers. That's for operational
Mhm.
growth, right?
Is that like someone's ego getting in the way?
I
Or
don't know.
kinda-
I think maybe. I don't know. I think
Yeah.
I think we all bring ego with us. We all have a certain amount of it, myself
Yeah.
included. And so I think you can't help it.
Right.
So yeah, like maybe a little bit about that. But I think the more you work in the business, again, those assumptions creep up and they're super easy to make. Like, oh, I know. Like, I know this is what's going to happen. So let's go get that and do that. But you're making an assumption. And I think that people don't stop and say, oh, darn, like, I assumed that.
Yeah.
And if you're senior, a lot of folks are going to go, okay, let's all go do it. We'll all say the same thing. Again, it's just
Yeah.
an assumption
Okay.
that was made.
I have lots of questions too, because I think maybe one thing that I'd love to get your help on today is I want to talk about my business and kind of what I think about my customers and stuff like that too. But before we get to that though, I'd love to talk more about your transition from working in agencies to starting your own.
Okay.
Like, why did you decide to do
Yeah,
that?
I know. It's so hard. Like I never did. I look at myself as an entrepreneur.
Okay.
I didn't go through any of these agencies and be like,
One day I'm going to start
I'm
my
going to
own.
start my own. That didn't happen. But as I went through them, I did notice a pattern in myself, my own little Melissa trend, where I loved where I worked. I loved the people I got to work with. One of the greatest things I did was meet all of this talent throughout the years, and I loved being part of chasing like whatever the ambitious goal is, right? These agencies all are ambitious,
Mhm.
filled with talented people. Who wouldn't want to be there, part of the team,
Yep.
contributing? At some point along all of them, I was like, I'm not 100% committed.
To those big ambitious goals.
Yes. Yeah. I could be 99.9% committed, but I was thinking, I really want to do this. Like that, what I loved was not always part of it, right?
Mhm.
And even owning equity and leading the operations of a large global content marketing firm didn't
Still
satisfy
not
that
there.
for me.
Yeah.
I wasn't fully satisfied. And so I just got to a point in my own life where it's like, well, if this is in the back of your head everywhere you work, right? And
Right, it's following you along. It's not like, oh, it's because
following
of
me
this.
along.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, like my last role, I truly loved the team I was working with. I had it was a great setup, but it was always in the back of my mind. It wasn't exactly satisfying
Mm-hmm.
because it wasn't 100% what I wanted to be doing. And I know how selfish that sounds. It's like you don't always get to do
What
the
you
thing
wanted.
you love. You don't always, every parts of our days are things we don't want to do. But do I want to go through life and say I never tried to get it?
Exactly.
And so I had to shoot my shot. And so I was like, I want to know. And so then I became an entrepreneur and I was like, wow, and it's been great because I've had the opportunity to learn from so many entrepreneurs, like
Right.
really closely.
And working with the
Work with
businesses
them.
as well too, and seeing what they're doing.
Right.
And,
Working with startups. They've taught me, people I've worked with taught me so much. And I look back and I see these lessons that are helping me today. But really, I think that's the reason why I took the leap,
Hmm.
and I just wanted to know.
So what is it that you're chasing? What is it that you're looking for to fill that void inside you?
Yeah, it's helping these clients find something out, and then they go and they find something out about their customers. Maybe they're going into a new category, or they change their messaging, and that business does really well. That feels incredibly good to me.
Yeah, it's like your sense of purpose.
Yeah, and then when my client calls and is like, "We're making a decision. I just want to know what you think." That feels like, yeah, I'm committed. I understand your business enough for you to want to hear and just like bounce ideas off of me. I feel like I'm supporting something. One of the changes too is I'm working mostly with companies in Nova Scotia.
Ah, right.
And, I spend a lot of time working with companies in the US and other areas. And I am working with companies all over Canada, but it's really nice to support companies in your own community.
Right.
It
Right.
really, really
And
is.
see them
right?
succeed and grow and
Yeah,
just
like,
contribute to the community. And
yeah, as my kids get older, like I want them to be like, I'm looking around Nova Scotia for like a really good job. So I'm like, okay, I want to help these companies
right.
because I got to keep my babies here as long as
Yeah.
possible.
Well, that's right. There's motivation for you. Keep the kids close to home.
Yeah, keep them close to home. And so I think that's part of it too.
I really love that. Because it's for the most of the people that I've talked to, it's like they fall into two camps, whether it's like, I've always known since I was a kid
Yes.
that I'm going to be an entrepreneur. My parents are kind of in that. And then other people, they just kind of fall into it where they're like, you know what? I never really thought about it, just kind of like you. And things kind of happen in life where it's like, I just need to find that thing that really makes me want to wake up in the morning and do the thing that I love doing
Yes.
and find that sense of purpose. And like you said, not every day is going to be the best day ever, but you know what? I know that I'm going towards something that I love doing and that it's my purpose. And then that alone is
Is
enough.
that the way it happened for you? Your transition from biology, was it?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. So I I have a very weird transition where I went to school to study physics of all things, and then I transitioned to biology. And then I did some work at the university doing hydrogeology. And then I went back and did my master's in biology.
Wow.
And then I was doing, and I was like, I want to save the animals. I was all into,
Yeah.
I've got to save the animals and all that stuff. So I'm like, I'm going to do some cool stuff there. And then I quickly realized that it was a very, very difficult market to try to get a job in, because this was about 2010 when I had my master's. And that was kind of the 2008 financial crisis. And then even here in
Yes.
Canada, things were going pretty downhill. And especially in the scientific research, there was like lots of fundings were cut. So I decided to start learning how to just program and build websites. And I found a passion for that. And I love doing that. I was like, this is what I love doing. And that spurred me on for probably the better part of a decade, combining my love of science with the design and technology. And the jobs I were getting was like working at universities where I was bridging the gap with how can scientists kind of communicate their data, their message to the general public and get them to understand. So it was really stuff with data and stuff and visualization. So I did all that kind of stuff. And then I came into, so I was a little long-winded here, but then I came into Dalhousie, and I was kind of like, you know what? I need to go back on my own again. I need to have something that I'm building that's just for me. And I decided to quit my job and do web design. And I was like, I've already done this before. I don't really want to do this. So I'm just going to start a podcast, and maybe I'm going to talk to other entrepreneurs to maybe see if I can get some pointers and to help. They can maybe help me figure out how to build a successful business, so I don't have to, maybe work anymore. And then I started podcasting, and then it blew my mind. I absolutely love this. I'm like, you're telling me I get to sit down and have these amazing conversations with these amazing people, learn so much. And not only that, I could potentially build this into a business that could make money. I'm like, and I just fell in love with this. And this now, like, for the first time in like my life, I wake up every morning being like, I love what I do. Like, it's not, like I gotta sit at a computer. Oh, the client wants, blue logo instead of red. Like, all that stuff. So
Make it pop.
yeah. So yeah, just like, Oh,
Uh,
yeah. So I don't, it's just, yeah, I love it. And it's like something that it just fills me with so much passion. And that's the whole unconventional mindset. It's like,
okay.
figure out what it is that you can do that's going to fill you with a sense of purpose. And then, try to make that thing a success. And if
Yeah.
I could pass that along to other people, just like you want to teach your clients, be like, I want them to have that aha moment. I want people that are listening to this podcast to have their aha moment, be like, yes, I need to, like, if they're thinking about it, I need to start my business. I need to take the leap, like you've
Yeah.
taken the leap. And hopefully we can support them in any way possible so that they can, have the greatest chance for success. So,
I love that.
yeah,
Good for you.
that's why we're here, I guess. I want to ask you about customers. And while I just went on that ramble of the podcast here, and one of the things that I remember you asked me, you were like, well, who are the people that are listening to your podcast? I'm
Right.
like, that's a really good question. And because I'm new and I'm starting out, I don't have a good grasp over who my listeners are, but I want to understand that. So my question is, when you're just starting out and you don't really have a really big basis to, do customer surveys or interviews, what's a good starting point for trying to think about how to understand who your customers are? Or I guess in my case, like who my listeners are.
Yeah, I think it all comes back to like you're solving a problem. There's some value that you're giving here, right? And so if the problem you're solving is like have an unconventional mindset, believe that you can do everything with purpose and do the thing that you love. And so it's like, okay, well, what type of person would have that problem? Where are they in life?
Mm,
Start to imagine that. And so you really have to spend a lot of time in the problem, right? So if you think about someone like me, for your listeners, it might be someone who's tried multiple careers and had, career growth and career success,
I
but
see.
never
Yeah.
really felt at their best or never
Mhm.
really felt totally satisfied. And so they would be interested in like leveling up or looking at your career and your life through a different lens.
Right.
Right. And so that's like one potential mindset that you could solve a problem for. I may be aware or not aware of that problem. Right.
Right.
You also probably know who some of your listeners are and could talk to them
Mm-hmm.
and say, if you have repeat listeners, have a conversation and say, like, why do you tune in more than once?
Yeah.
If you know that folks who are listening to it, that is not your mom.
Yeah. Hopefully not. Eh?
They're
There's
not your
more.
mom.
Yeah.
No moms.
Yeah.
No offense to moms. I love them.
Yeah.
But then you can have a conversation to say, like, what are you coming back for? So that you can understand that a little bit more.
Yeah. And maybe I
right?
can get some
Kind of
eye-opening
grows
insights.
from there, right? And then you could probably see other podcasts then that would grow into like, well, who else offers a podcast like mine? And who's listening to their podcast and what type of content do they put out? And then you start to build a bit of a competitive viewpoint on what's going
Right.
on as
Okay.
well.
Then you can
for your own
understand how to
positioning.
position yourself then within the
That's
market.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, so that, you can have some of those listeners come over and listen to your podcast too.
Yeah, yeah. So what's the best way then for a company then to start doing these like customer interviews or get those insights? What would you recommend? Like, is it surveys? Is it?
Sometimes it's always a combination, right? It's not just one thing. So I always kind of start with customer interviews and then say, let's talk about your expanded research effort, right? And it really depends on every business has access to some level of customer data
Right.
and information, but it's different per business. Some businesses don't have very much at all. Some have a ton, too much. And so if you're a business that's already up and running, then you can say, well, who are the people I sell to? Who are my repeats? Who's in my ideal category today that's buying? And let's build a profile to kind of understand the similarities
Mhm.
there first. Usually there's another, profile, a persona that's like this person could really use whatever we're selling, right? And so you have to kind of build who that is so that you can identify some of those folks
Yeah. Yeah.
to start that interview process.
Yeah.
Always meet with your sales team.
If you have a sales
If
team,
you
I
have a
guess.
sales team, a customer success team.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be sales team, actually. It can
Mhm.
be who's ever talking to your customers.
Who's talking? Yeah. Yeah.
and like who's closest to them. Get some thoughts from them. You don't want to make yourself biased, but if you're a new business, you got to collect that context where you can get it.
For someone who's, let's just say that someone is totally new and they're like, you know what, I just kind of have an idea of a product that I want to build. And, I've made some mistakes in the past where I'm like, I have a brilliant idea and I just go ahead and I start building it.
Yeah,
and I don't talk to anybody.
course.
At what point should someone start to think about even just talking to people to get information and feedback?
ASAP.
Okay.
Yeah, as soon as possible,
Okay.
I'd say, like, if you come up with an idea, a lot of folks, like, I'd say, like, in the SaaS space, right? Startups, they would go out and be like, there's nothing like it. They would have done some level of market secondary research to say, like, there's 3 other potential platforms, but they don't have this feature.
Yeah,
Like,
they don't
we
do
got
XYZ. Yeah,
we got the market cornered here. They don't have this. And so I find people do that quite quickly, right?
Okay.
Because it's very easy to do that bit of secondary research. You can also look on those sites and say, well, who are they targeting? To say, like, what are the different use cases?
Okay.
So then you can go find someone to have that conversation with well before you start to build it, to say, like, is this viable?
Right.
And I think the thing that gets in the way is urgency. That's what I've
Urgency's
seen on
the
the customer side.
Oh, okay.
Like, you could have the best, coolest product, but if the customer's like, I really love using my Google spreadsheet, I've done that for 20 years, then the pain to transition to the next thing is too great for them to, like, jump in.
on board. Right. So
And
that's
they might jump on board, but it might take longer than you want. And if you've invested all of your savings into it, you become frustrated because you look around 12 months in and say, there's
Yeah.
no urgency around
Why
this.
aren't
Like,
people jumping on board?
I'm solving a problem
Mhm.
that I only, like, very few people care of.
And you would
to
have known
solve.
that before building your
Right.
product if you would have talked to the people
And
who
talk
you want to sell
about their
to.
day,
Yeah,
right?
that's
Like,
right.
what are you doing around the problem?
I've heard that before of you have to make it so that, let me see if I get this right. The pain of staying with your current solution has to be more than the pain of switching to something new. Because when you're switching to something new, there's still going to be a pain associated with that, right? Like you
Absolutely.
said, like
The transition.
yeah. So how, like, their pain as a customer has to be so great that staying put is just like, it's not going to cut it, right? Your product has to fit that mold.
Right. That's
Yeah.
why your messaging, the benefits, and the ability to resonate with someone and, like, their day is just so important
Yeah.
for them to go, I'm going to do it.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And often people think about decisions. And I think that new businesses don't fully appreciate how long it takes someone to make a decision to make a purchase. And the more expensive that purchase is, then the longer that sales cycle is.
Generally. Yeah. Yeah. Unless there's those crazy peoples that don't care so much and that they spend.
Yeah, of course. You
That's-
always have a few of
there's
those, right?
always
Your
those
mom's going to
outliers,
buy
yeah.
it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what does that look like then, as like wearing our marketing hats here for a second? What does it look like when a company really understands their customer? Like, how does that help their business and how does that help them do their marketing?
I think it boils down to 2 things that I've seen. They ask better questions of their team. So most of the companies I'm working with have multiple departments.
Okay.
And so they're able to kind of break down any silos that might exist and ask better questions on, like, why are we doing what we're doing? And why is this helping our customers? Is it building loyalty? What is it doing for the business? And then, like, really it's about confidence. It's like, okay, we're going to say no to this new shiny thing, which there's lots, right?
Like in terms of like different campaigns
Yeah,
or
like
things we can run or
campaigns,
social media,
technologies,
tech.
channels.
Yeah, okay.
It could be a new channel. Who knows what, we're going to say no to this because we know our customers so well that we don't need to do that.
Right.
Or they don't need to do so much trial and error to figure it out. They're able to, like, get out and market and get there faster. And it becomes down to the confidence to say, we know this is valuable to our customers.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be confident and stay here. And we're going to say no to these things because we know it doesn't make sense to our customer.
Right.
When you have that type of confidence, you save yourself a lot.
I was going to say that probably saves
Back and
yourself a lot of
forth.
time and a lot of money, I would imagine too.
A
So
lot of
just,
time, money.
yeah.
Yeah. And just like once something gets going in a big organization, it gets going, right? Like it takes a long time and you're pushing a snowball up a hill. And then to get to the very top and be like, wow, we didn't need to do this.
Yeah.
So I think it's the confidence in making decisions. You know, sometimes it's just validation that you're going in the right direction.
Right. I've heard you talk a lot about customer journey. Can you explain what a customer journey is?
So at the end of the day, people call them all kinds of different things. I think a customer journey is like breaking down all of those moments in your customer's day or life so you can appreciate what they go through as they become aware, of the problem, not necessarily the brand yet, but they become aware they have a problem, or maybe they're unaware, right? And that's a harder place to start because there's no intent there to try to solve a problem.
Right.
And then you go through, well, what happens? Like, where would you go to solve your problem? How much do they care to solve their problem? What do they compare it to? How much time do they take? It's really just breaking down all of those moments so that a business can appreciate that and say, well, how can I help you? How can I help my customer and appreciate what they're going through in like little micro moments instead of saying we have one message, right? And when I started, there was always the single most important thing to convey. It was very awareness driven. And we were always chasing that one message because everything was going up on a billboard.
Right.
Like now, online, you can really educate yourself in so many different ways, right?
So you're saying you can have different messages for the same customer, but depending on where they are in their journey, you can have
they should be.
Okay.
Be very different, right? You might use YouTube for a very different message than you would use, Reddit or Instagram or your website might be broken down in a flow that allows people to have more information as they try to solve their problem. And so the journey map just allows companies to appreciate that at a granular level and say, well, like, wow, there's so much we could offer someone as they go through this. Like there's so often I present them and they're like, we don't even talk to them about this. Right. We didn't know that they wanted to know that. We have a ton of information we can talk about in the sales process, with them. And it's just helping them throughout it.
And then understanding that customer map, I mean, I guess it just opens up all kinds of opportunities for the marketing department to understand how they can better market to those people because they know where they are.
Absolutely.
And they can just really just target that message.
Yeah. The first thing we do when we have a journey map done is we do an analysis of what exists in market to say, like, where are all the opportunities? Like, what's missing? What's working really well? And what else could you be doing? Where are you not serving it?
When you're doing those customer maps for your clients, is it generally for clients that have already established businesses and that there are selling some products and have traction? Like it's not so much like, is it just as relevant to do it if you're just starting out as a business where you haven't made any sales?
You get more into it if you already have traction, but they're not about your product.
Right. That's why I gotta change that mindset there. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I've done them for hospital pre-ops to say, we want to understand the pre-op experience and we want to improve it as people come. And so there's nothing that exists there except they know every patient goes through pre-op.
Right. Yeah.
So what happens 3 days before pre-op or within pre-op before whatever's happening after that period of time? They're not about what you're offering. They're like, what's that person going through as they solve the problem? If you don't know what the problem your solve is, then you probably can't do a good one.
Okay. I think my head's just kind of turning because I'm really trying to think about how I could use this for improving my podcast and getting more listeners.
Yeah.
And I feel, again, this is maybe my science roots coming back, is like I love thinking of a question or a hypothesis. I'm like, okay, well, I need to run some experiments, get some data, and then figure out whether my hypothesis is
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
Can I use that type of mindset of saying, okay, well, if I can't get a hold of my listeners, if they're not going to answer any of my surveys or whatever, can I or should I make some assumptions or hypotheses about who I think my audience is and kind of map out where their pain points might be, and then kind of go from there to use that as, okay, well, this is maybe how I'm going to do my show or what have you? Or is there something else that I should be doing to really trying to actually talk to people and get that right
So
information?
have you tried to run a survey?
So I have, and I haven't gotten anybody to bite yet.
Through like your email list?
It was through my email, and it was also through, like, I do live streams,
Okay.
and I'm kind of like, oh, here's me documenting the process of trying to build a podcast and a business
Gotcha.
and asking people. And, I get crickets.
I'm not a fan of starting with a survey.
Mm,
Have you asked people, do you have time for a conversation?
no,
Yeah.
that's
So
what I should do, eh?
yeah, I think when you are intentional, we send these outreach emails to someone's customer. We explain to them what we're trying to do and why their perspective is so important.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Then there's appreciation that you're asking to learn from them. I think sometimes when we ask people to do surveys, they're like,
Yeah. I was even like, even just
right.
making
I
them.
use surveys, but it's always in combination with interviews.
Okay.
That's kind of, having the interviews is like a
I
must
was going to say that seems like the
on
holy
my
grail
end.
then I
For
guess.
the starting point.
For the starting point.
It's the
Okay.
starting point, and then, a survey is part of that. The data, the behavioral data that you can get becomes part of that. But I would try to get interviews.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you can.
Yeah.
I think
okay.
you're pretty good at interviewing folks, so I feel like you
Okay.
could make a pretty good ask.
Okay. I guess, yeah, it's just even finding the avenue of how I can ask listeners, because they're just watching on YouTube or whatever, and I don't have
Well,
any
you
of
could put
their info.
well, you could use your LinkedIn and say
Oh,
that
that's
you're
true, eh?
looking
Okay.
for a few interviews, but you may also know the ideal listener.
Mm-hmm.
And they may not listen to your podcast today. You might be like, the type of person that I want to appeal to is Melissa. Like, that's who I think it is.
Uh-huh.
Then you say, listen, do you not mind?
Do you mind? Can I have
You
15
might
minutes?
find that I'm not the type of person you want to appeal to, right?
Yeah.
And then from there, you might build a better profile of who you want to interview.
Yeah.
So you might have a few steps to get to before you really get your interview
Yeah.
profile together.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I have a question here. There's a few guys that I respect quite a bit in the software development world, where they would always preach the benefit of solving your own problem.
Yeah.
Of like, hey, listen, I know that I wake up every morning as whatever business that they're in, and I have this problem, so I'm going to develop a tool to build it. And they just put their head down and they build their tool, and then lo and behold, they sell it, and they're multi-millions of dollars or what have you. But that's not necessarily a good way for most people to think, right? Like, would you recommend people to be like, oh, well, maybe if you're solving your own problem, you're okay? But I feel like no, eh?
Like solving your problem for the
Like whatever
who's
you're like
for?
what you're building, right? Like,
Oh, you're the customer.
yeah, like for example, I was building websites every day for clients. And every time I have a new client, I have to redo everything from scratch. So I'm going to build a bunch of building blocks or whatever. So I'm going to make my job like 80% easier.
Yeah.
Like, and so I built that product, but I didn't talk to anybody about it. And it kind of never went anywhere. It could be because I kind of got out of wanting to do websites,
Right.
but I feel like I was listening to what they were saying of like, oh, solve your own problem. But I feel like I needed to do more about understanding other people's problems, and that I probably
Yeah.
should have spoken to people first before wasting like 6 months of my time building something.
I think it's really dependent on like what problem you're solving. Like think about the person that invented sliced bread.
Okay.
That's going to be a winner, like who doesn't want that? I think some folks get lucky and they do that, right?
Yeah.
And these people have invented things and it's like, well, like obviously I want whatever it may be. Like it's an obvious
Yeah.
situation, right? It may not be that obvious. And so it all comes back to like what's what is the problem you're solving and who cares about it and is it
Mhm.
urgent? And if you have a lot of money to go ahead and throw it in and do that, then you're making a big bet on
Yeah.
yourself. And if you can do that, you might get lucky.
Yeah.
I certainly, it's happened.
Yeah. But we don't want
It's
to bet on
not
luck,
what
though.
I-
I don't think. Yeah.
No, it's not what I would recommend. That wouldn't be an ideal client for myself.
Right.
But yeah, I think it happens.
Yeah. Speaking of that, what is an ideal client? Like who are the types of businesses and the types of people that you like to work with?
Anyone who is looking to grow their business and has either hit a roadblock or gotten to a place where like they have a question and they're like, we're just reacting to everything. We've got into a place where we're in reactive mode and we want to be more strategic. We want to be proactive, but we don't know how to get ourselves started.
Right.
Usually that comes down to some level of customer understanding. They've had, new competitors come up. The phones aren't ringing as much. They've had a dip somewhere and they were like, okay, what we've been doing isn't working anymore. And we're not sure what to do next, but we know we need to do something.
Right.
A lot of my clients fall into that. Or they're new and they're like, hey, I want to start from a place of understanding. I have an appreciation for research. I want to do this. A lot of my customers fall into that camp.
It's amazing how so many maybe seemingly different problems that companies are having, their roadblocks or their processes not working, but it all still stems from not really understanding the customers and kind of going back to like, well, your phone's not ringing as much because your message that you're putting out there is not reaching the people that would benefit from what you're trying to sell.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. How do you, like, data is a big thing. And I know on your website, it's all about collecting customer data.
Yeah.
How important is data for you in your day-to-day for helping customers, or your clients kind of solve their problems?
It's super important.
Yeah.
Because I always want to reference it because I want to help clients use it more and more and like get comfortable asking like, oh, well, like, how do you know that? Like, where is that coming from?
Yeah. Oh, here you go. You can just show.
Yeah. I mean, you can collect so much, right?
Right.
And I can't think of many clients, like I'd be hard pressed to do it that like really dig into their data all the time.
Mm-hmm.
They've got dashboards, they've got reports, there's a report sent to them. They don't have time to open it and like dig through it.
Right.
Because there's so much, but there might only be like 4 things that they truly care about for what the business is trying to do, for the roadblock they have, for the challenge that's on their plate. But it's like, how do they get to it, right? Because it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's not their fault.
Yeah.
It's like there's too much.
I was going to say, are companies collecting too much data nowadays?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah? Because it's so easy with the analytics and everything. You just plug it in and you get all this data.
And it's just there and it's like,
right.
What do I do with this? And then the answer is like, I'm just going to make an assumption and do.
Right. Yeah. I'm just going to assume this is why these numbers are like that.
This number feels good to me. Let's go with it.
Right.
And so I really want clients to say like, where did this come from? And so, yeah, data is important. Referencing back information from their customers, remembering where we're headed is a really big part because I don't want to make any assumptions on behalf of my clients. That I wouldn't be doing my job very well. And so I want to use as much data as I can because then my prediction gets better.
Yeah.
None of us know if it's going to hit the nail on the head, right?
So putting my science hat on here.
I knew you were going to do that. I knew that.
Yeah. How important are running little experiments for you? If we do this for marketing, or if we do this we think our customers are doing this, you run an experiment and you see things. Like, how important is that for you?
Intentional experiments are really important. Experiments that are like, let's try out Pinterest and see what happens are less important to me because that's like you're testing. You don't know why, but if it's intentional and you're like, you
gotta have a why behind it.
Yeah, like we've got messages. We think we have this persona, this unique problem. Then it's like, yes, testing. The sooner we go out, the sooner that fails or succeeds.
Right.
Then we can continue to refine, because it's really something that happens over time, right? And so it's not like, hey, we're going to get started and in 3 months we're going to hit the nail on the head. You have to be committed to continuously learning.
Because like you're saying, things
Informa-
change as well too. Markets change, people change.
That's right. And so if you're going to continuously learn, then you're going to get closer and closer and closer to
Mm-hmm.
accuracy. And that's really what you're after, is like fall in love with the idea of that continual improvement, and you'll get to accuracy.
Can you give me an example, if you can, of something in the real world that you've seen where a company has figured out their customer profile, like they really know their customers
Yeah.
and they really figured out their customer mapping? Like, what does that look like in the real world in terms of what heights, a company can reach by having that not
Yeah, I mean, I
nailed
think
down?
there's some brands that I guess your listeners would all know of, that we've all experienced. And like, I would say like a Starbucks or even a Nike. Like if you think about the experience, and like Starbucks, their journey maps, or you can find them
Okay.
easily. And so it
I'm gonna have to
just,
look that up.
it goes, there's the in-store experience, then there's their experience socially in your life of what it's like to have a Starbucks frothy fancy drink, right?
Yeah.
And then there's what does that mean to different mindsets, different groups. And there's the Starbucks drinkers that only want black coffee. And then there are ones that love the lattes. I'm not a big Starbucks drinker myself, but
Right.
I appreciate everything they put into it, right? And then they design an experience that's like in the store, there's certain sounds that are there because they want you. It's part of the experience.
It's like all intentional,
The
eh?
lineup is part of the experience. And then the loyalty is part of the experience. And you're collecting your stars, come back with your stars. And so the whole thing has got so many touch points,
Right.
right? And if you love Starbucks, like you love it. I don't know
You
if you
love
know
it.
the one here on Larry Utech, but like
Yeah,
the
I don't go to-
drive-through
It's
is,
really, it's really
oh my
really busy?
goodness. Yeah, my husband says Starbucks. And I'm like, go by yourself.
so. I guess it's for me too, because I'm a little bit of a tech nerd sometimes, and I always make fun of friends that love Apple. And
Yes,
it's like those
they
things. It's
hit
like,
it.
why are you spending 3 times more for a computer that?
But you're not an Apple customer.
No, I'm not, because it's like it becomes part of like I
Right.
don't know, their identity or who they are or whatever, but they just have such loyalty.
Yeah,
to
they
the
have
brand.
a relationship
Yeah.
with it. They've committed to it. And then once, a company like Apple has that, they have a story, they have a narrative, they have messaging.
And that's all from them understanding who their customers are, that they can tell the stories of
Yeah,
who they
being
are. And
intentional. We're not for
Right.
everyone.
yeah, that's
Making
right.
the decision, Apple made a decision, we're not going to be for everyone. Well, then the folks that you are for feel really good about that, right? And so, yeah, Apple's another great example.
So one thing that I always love to talk about is AI, because
Yes.
everyone's talking about AI
course.
these days. How do you see AI helping or hurting the industry? Because one of the things that we're talking about is all about understanding your customers, getting on the phone, doing some interviews,
Yeah.
having more human connections. And AI seems to be the opposite of having human connections. You just
Yeah.
type in your prompt or whatever, and then it does stuff for you, or you can have it even contact people on your behalf.
Sure, yeah.
Where do you see AI going into all of this?
I mean, I think you're going to get different answers from everyone.
Mhm.
And I think AI can help things get done, better, bigger scales, faster.
Yeah.
Who knows where it's going to go? Like, I don't get up every day and say, what's going on with with AI? I got to know what's new. But, I think some folks would say, Melissa, you could have AI asking the questions, right? You could have like an audio done, and I understand that, but I think to make a connection with someone when you interview them does require a human.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think that when you interview someone, the most important thing you can do is understand when you might want to use a prompt and when you don't. And so if I let AI write my script and go and have my conversations, it's going to go, right? It's going to ask the
Mhm.
questions. And I know over time, someone's going to be like, oh, they're going to prompt probably at some point, I don't know, then you lose the chance to make that connection.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do think it really matters
And you won't be listening to the conversation.
to
So
have
you can ask a
humans.
question that you might not have thought of before you
That's right.
generated the questions in the first place.
And you might uncover something in the conversation that's like, I'm going to change my questions.
Right.
Something just happened. And you kind of miss that because all of a sudden what became more important is the scale of how many you can do versus the quality of the output. Now, that said, AI for like running an analysis or even companies using it for like predictions to say like, based on this data, we recommend this cookie to you.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome,
Mm-hmm.
right? It can come to you and say like, you should do your email drips on this, or here's what your listeners are most interested in. Find your next interviewees.
Next
I think
guest.
that's
Yeah.
great. I think it's awesome. I see it as something that helps us do what we're passionate about, but not replaces everything that we do.
Right.
Because then
Keep those human connections. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
it needs it, right? Like, I don't think there's anything warm and fuzzy about AI.
Yeah. I think I love that point of view. And I think I'm kind of around the same camp of it's really fantastic for helping you do the day-to-day things that just was a lot of grunt work or the research or
Yes.
whatever. Just, it could, I mean, we use computers now that have helped us do things that we
Yeah.
were doing back in hand, even 30, 40 years ago or whatever. So it's a tool and we can use it to augment the work that we do. But when it comes to dealing with humans, I mean, it's nice to have that touch. Like I could imagine calling, a helpline, like getting an AI bot. It's like the most frustrating thing for like customer service.
Yes.
It's like, I want to talk to a human, please, that could
Oh.
go beyond just the prompts that it was given or
Yes.
whatever, how to understand my questions.
Well, and imagine being the person being interviewed. How much are you going to open up to an AI?
Have you seen those AI interviews?
I've
that
seen
they're being interviewed, but it's by AI.
Yeah, and it's like how much are you going to perhaps have a vulnerable moment or whatever that may be? I don't know. Some people might be very, very comfortable. I will have to kind of see where it goes.
Right.
Like my husband's been caught a few times on like a phone tree and it's an AI bot, but he's like 5 minutes in and he's like, wait, this isn't a human? He's like, Melissa, come here and tell me. I'm like, oh, honey.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And
Oh, my
so,
goodness.
I mean, I think it will continue to improve. But I mean, back in the day, I would interview people, you'd have to meet with them.
Yeah.
And I'd write all my notes down. Like I'm asking questions, I'm writing my notes. And like now, of course, you have video.
Yep.
You've got your transcript. And if for some reason that doesn't work now, I'm like, oh my God, I got to write this. I'm like, oh,
I gotta
what?
write stuff down.
Oh no. So
How do
it
you
definitely it's definitely helping, but I don't think I would see myself as like an authority on where it's going. I wouldn't be your.
Oh no, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I just couldn't imagine like going for an interview for a company and I'm being one of the first touch points is like an AI. It's like, do you really value my time or value me as a potential employee if you're just gonna have AI do that? So I don't know.
I'm in the same camp as you. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's coming, I guess. So the other day, I had Taylor McMaster here, and I don't know if you know her. She runs Dot & Co, and she's all about helping people manage their clients. One of the big conversations was client retention versus acquisition, and she's of course, saying that it's really important to keep the clients that you already have happy, and to make sure that you care for having those clients. So what is it that people can do to nurture that customer loyalty? We're talking about understanding your customers, but how can you go beyond that once you have them as your customer, that you can keep them as your customer?
Part of it is learning the customer's journey before they make the decision. The journeys, the research that my team works on goes beyond the decision and into like, how do I feel after I did it?
Right.
And how do I build loyalty? Right. And so I've not met a customer that doesn't want repeat business. Everyone knows it's a lot easier to keep a customer than acquire one. So then appreciating like, what's it like to use the thing that we just sold? And if it doesn't work, what happens if I have a question?
Mm-hmm.
Or how could I share that I really liked it if I wanted to? And continuing to collect research from them.
Yeah.
That's what all those loyalty programs are designed to do, right? They're getting your preferences while
Right.
giving you that loyalty.
Like the Scene membership card when I do
Right.
groceries, they're like, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I don't join those. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know if I want to give you my information.
Right. I don't want you
but-
to know the eggs I buy. So yeah, I think a bit of it's that, and treating it like a relationship. And so there's all kinds of opportunities that come up that say, okay, when someone's using or working with my team, you know, if it's B2B or maybe it's a product, what's it like to actually experience your product for someone that's having a good experience and someone that may not be, and how will the business deal with that?
Yeah.
When you go through that experience, all kinds of opportunities come up.
Do you feel that customers or that clients that you work with, do they have a hard time with this, or is it something that you see that they're doing a really good job?
It's dependent. Like, I think that a lot of my clients have amazing relationships
Okay.
with their
That's good to hear.
clients. They know them really well. And so, you know, their businesses are very relationship driven. Most of my customers are B2B.
Right. So that's definitely more on the relationship side as opposed
Yes.
to, oh, I just sold you this thing.
That's
and
right.
See you later. Get out
Yeah.
the door. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have worked with companies that it's like they're coming in the front door and they're kind of trotting out the back door, like for certain, right?
Right.
And that acquisition is exciting, right? Getting a new customer is exciting. It's validating
Yep.
that you're heading in the right direction. I think what sometimes gets forgotten is your existing customers can actually bring you those new ones, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you lose too many after a while, folks will say, well, like, your reputation as a brand goes at risk.
It's taken a hit. Yeah. I always complain to people about this, about how some companies treat potentially new clients better than existing ones. And I always point to banks when they're like, oh, if you're a new bank, why don't you sign up here and get your $500? I'm like, I've been with you for 15 years. Where's my $500?
Right?
What are you talking about?
Yes.
So I don't know, but I guess it's that game that kind of companies have to play to figure out, new versus
Yes.
existing customers.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What is it that you would say in marketing that would be holding small businesses back? Like I'm a small business and a lot of my friends are kind of small businesses. Are there any mistakes that they're making that are holding them back?
It would be tough for me to know until I met or talked to that business.
That's
but
fair.
again, I think that a lot of small like businesses, even myself, I get trapped in this. It's like you're doing the thing. Like you're doing this, you're working in the business. You're not necessarily thinking about where you want the business to go.
Right.
And it's a mind shift. And that's where you become reactive and you start making those assumptions because you're working in your business, right? You're trying to make everything work. You're not necessarily stepping back and thinking about where am I going? Where do I want to get? And so
Like that big picture
the
overview.
big picture, like
the
what is the
vision.
3-year goal that you're after? Many of them don't have a true mission and vision statement written up just yet. And it's because you're working in the business a lot.
Is that important for companies to do? You'd recommend like have this mission and vision statement?
I think if you want to attract other people, if your goal is to like have people work with you, I also think it's like a North Star for you to follow, to say like, I want to be the podcast that people, make the most career changes in, like positive changes to their day or something. I don't know what yours would be, but if you know that, then that can guide a little bit of what you're doing when you're not working in the business day to day.
Yeah. It's so tough though sometimes,
It
especially if you're
is.
wearing so many different hats.
It's wild.
It's like, well, I got to do the emails and then I got to set up the microphones. I got to do this. I got to do that.
Yeah.
And who has time to think about
I know.
got
That's
kids
why
coming
people
in,
hire me. They don't have time.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's just blocking time and saying today's the day I'm going to think about this, and being intentional with your time, I think is probably something I'd say.
So for you as an entrepreneur, are you just a solo entrepreneur or do you have other people working with
I
you?
have folks that do work with me. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And
Okay.
so it's contract. And so, yeah, like different skill sets come in, whether it's user experience or like customer success, things that help my clients, and, execute certain things that I've recommended, or supporting interviews, things like that.
Right. How do you find it as an entrepreneur, the whole process of now paying other people to work with you in your company and, they're working on your behalf, right? Like how's that transition for you?
Well, it's really easy for me because of, you know, being the COO of foundation.
Mm,
I'll like hiring and bringing folks on was a big part of
right.
my role.
Yeah.
And so also the folks that I'm hiring, some of these people I worked with 10, 15 years ago.
Okay. So you
And
already have those
I have
relationships.
these are really talented folks. And so I really love the idea of sharing the business that I have with them,
Right.
but also I get to bring their expertise to my clients. And I'm really excited to say, like, this person is the best,
Right.
right? Like
Yeah,
they're
that's awesome.
like, the highest on my list. To me, it just feels like I'm blessed, like it's a privilege to do it. And I get really excited when I know I'm like, oh, I'm going to get to call her and we're going to work on this. And so it's kind of fun.
Melissa, I want to give you the last word here.
Okay.
This has been a fantastic conversation. Thank you so much for
Okay.
coming in. Again, thinking of the listener today,
Yeah.
the small business, the entrepreneur. What is the takeaway? What is one thing that you'd want to leave them with?
I think just stop and ask yourself why you're doing whatever you're doing and who is it going to benefit the most. I think just stopping and asking those questions, you really have to know why you're doing something. Otherwise, those assumptions are going to creep up on you very quickly.
Melissa, thank you so much for coming on the
Oh,
show.
thank you
It
for
was
having
an
me.
absolute pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much.